A crew is out here tearing through brand new asphalt in a finished parking lot to reach a buried sewer line. Ripping up a failed run like this requires breaking the surface, hauling out the old backfill, removing the pipe, and starting over. That remediation process easily costs 10 times the original installation budget. The root cause of that massive expense often comes down to a microscopic drop in pipe grade. A deviation no thicker than a pencil, stretched out over a 30-meter run, completely stalls the flow of a gravity system. Yet the industry treats this entirely as a labor issue. Crews arrive on site and are immediately trained on the physical mechanics of moving heavy material into a trench. They receive zero instruction on the mathematical consequences of grade and slope. Treating pipelaying strictly as brute manual labor ignores the reality of precision engineering. When a crew doesn't understand the exact tolerances of fluid dynamics, the contractor is left carrying an enormous financial liability. A catastrophic failure almost always begins in the dirt, long before a single piece of pipe is ever lowered into the trench. When a crew lays down the initial bedding material without compacting it to a precise grade, the heavy pipe eventually settles into the microscopic gaps left in the soil. This cross-section highlights the haunch zone, material tightly packed around the pipe's lower half, strictly locking its grade. Without haunch compaction, the pipe floats. Under the immense weight of future backfill, loose dirt shifts outward, and the pipe inevitably sinks out of alignment. That microscopic vertical settling in the haunch zone is exactly what creates the macro-level surface failures we saw tearing up the parking lot. To prevent that settling, crews are supposed to check their work. But standard practice on many sites is checking the pipe's grade at the very beginning of an excavation run, and then again at the end. Looking at this elevation plot over 30 meters, you can see the problem. The first and last measurement points are perfectly accurate, but the middle section completely drifts out of mathematical tolerance. The line bellies downward. Expert pipe layers don't rely on endpoint checks. They develop the physical skill to anticipate a grade deviation by sight and feel, knowing exactly what off looks like long before a laser grade or a string line even confirms it. Continuous joint-by-joint grade checking is the only mathematical guarantee you have. Without it, the gravity system will hold water, back up, and eventually require a total dig-up. Guaranteeing that grade starts with the paperwork. A master pipe layer reads a plan set to locate precise invert elevations, the exact internal bottom of the pipe, rather than just looking at the drawings to see which general direction the trench goes. They also adjust for the material. Standard green PVC pipes, heavy ductile iron, and massive concrete pipes all have entirely different physical behaviors, assembly tolerances, and unique failure points when joining the bell and spigot. But all of that precise preparation is destroyed by a rushed backfill. If an excavator tracks over the trench or drags across the trench box before the pipe is locked into its bedding, the run shifts violently. The moment that shift breaks a watertight joint seal, the clock runs out. Attempting to manually dig out and fix a failed joint once it is buried under tons of compacted backfill requires extreme physical exertion and compounds labor costs by the hour. Rushing final steps strips away all the precision achieved earlier in the dirt. It turns a mathematically perfect run into an immediate mechanical failure. The industry treats this job as basic sweat equity labor. The reality is that pipe laying requires exact, repeatable millimeter precision. The human eye simply cannot detect the tolerances that govern fluid dynamics. A pipe can look dead straight to a laborer in the trench, while a laser reveals it is graded entirely wrong. Picking up a heavy length of pipe requires physical strength, but keeping a crew safe during an open excavation and understanding the strict mathematics of a gravity system requires deep intellectual training. A master pipe layer is the sole barrier between a gravity system that functions flawlessly for 50 years and one that rots into a subterranean swamp. The Excavation Academy was built specifically to solve this training gap. We bypass the basic mechanics of moving pipe, which anyone can pick up on site. Instead, the curriculum focuses exactly on consequence and grade. We teach the strict methodologies for reading lasers and string lines and break down the exact financial costs of getting the math wrong. You can access our free primer on grade control immediately. To access the full operational system with worked examples and practice sets, join the Academy and stop losing money on dig-ups.